And that's why art is so amazing. It's a reflection of society. It's a reflection of us. It's a means of connection and self-actualization. Hello and welcome to episode 12 of the show. This is the season finale for season 1 of Creative Mode. I'm your host, Annie Zomaya, lover of pop culture, entertainment, and 100% human creativity. What a blast these last 12 weeks have been. I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad you're still listening. And I have some fun stuff to share with you today. We're going to talk about movies. We're going to talk about music, the artist's way, and I'm going to leave you with some quotes and some creative inspiration to help you on your own creative journey. Let's talk about the box office. So Iron Lung is an indie film that premiered last weekend, and I saw it with my friends. And the cool thing about this movie is it's based on a video game by the same name. And the movie itself was directed, written, produced, and stars YouTube sensation Markiplier, aka Mark Fishbach. And what I really like about this movie is that it is an indie debut. And if I'm not mistaken, Markiplier funded it himself. He's been very successful on YouTube for a long time, and he's dabbled in directing and producing film and TV. So I believe this was his film debut in theaters. So it's exciting to see an indie creator come up like that. It's, it's been a long and slow journey, but I do think that he honestly has put his heart and soul into this. So it's really cool to see an online community come together and have a movie with an actual theater release. It wasn't made for Netflix. It wasn't made for TV. It is in cinemas, even in my rural town. So I think that's really cool. And it goes to show that there are a lot of people that support creators and support indie media, and I love to see that. Now, as for the movie itself, I'm not going to talk about the plot and I'm not going to spoil it. Markiplier was great. His acting was great. His delivery, everything was good. But overall, I did not enjoy the movie. I had issues with the sound. It was very hard for me to understand what people other than the main character were saying. And part of that might have been intentional with the sound design because they were talking to the main character through radios or through windows. So there's supposed to be a little bit of sound design in there, but it was very hard for me to understand what was being said, which made the plot very hard to follow for me. The pacing was also quite slow, so it's very, very much a slow burn, but it's also an eldritch horror. It's very Lovecraftian. It's very dark. And for a lot of the movie, I felt like I didn't know what was going on. Now, to be fair, I have not played the video game. I do not know the lore of the video game. And Markiplier did a Let's Play series or a Let's Play video of him actually playing the video game about 3 or 4 years ago. So if I had seen that, I probably would have understood a lot more of it. I'm not saying it's a bad movie, but I did find it very hard to follow. Therefore, I found it not the most enjoyable movie, but I still want to see more of Markiplier's stuff because he did a mini series for, I believe it was Amazon Prime a couple years ago called Edge of Sleep, which was an adaptation of a podcast. And I actually really enjoyed that. I thought it was super fun and, not fun. Fun's not the right word because it was also a horror, but but it was very creative and fun to follow. So I do want him to keep making movies. I want him to keep producing and directing. This one just didn't hit it for me, and that's okay. You can see it for yourself and form your own opinion. Bottom line, I'm just happy to see this kind of support for an indie filmmaker. Now to the Billboard charts, Harry Styles, who we talked about a couple weeks ago. Harry Styles released a new single called Aperture. I heard it on the radio yesterday as I was driving home, and I love it. I'm here for it. It's a little bit of a different sound. It's not as upbeat poppy. It reminded me a little bit more of early 2010s dubstep, almost Swedish House Mafia type, but much more chill. So almost like if you took 2010s dubstep music and made it lo-fi chill hip-hop beats, but it's not hip-hop either. I'm sorry, I'm doing a poor job describing it. You will have to listen to it for yourself. But it was just like a toned down kind of dubstep pop song. And I don't know. I like it. I think it has really good vibes, and it makes me excited to see what other kinds of trends we're going to be seeing in music this spring and summer. I think 2026 might be a really exciting year for music. And Harry Styles does, in fact, have a new album coming out March 6th called Kiss All the Time. So I'm excited for that, and hopefully we get more of this cool new music from him. I'm excited. Now, for the emo listeners out there, Noah Kahan has finally, after 2 years of teasing the song The Great Divide, he has finally released it in full. I listened to it on YouTube, and Noah Kahan's music is always a deep cut for me. It always makes me think of my hometown and growing up, and it's very poetic in a way that puts me in touch with my feels, and it's good music, but it can ruin a good mood. So if you're in a good mood, you're having a good day, I wouldn't recommend listening to Noah Kahan, or maybe that's the best time to listen to it because I always cry. So maybe like if you're already in a good headspace, maybe that is the best, safest time to listen to Noah Kahan's music. I don't know. But anyway, The Great Divide, it is another deep cut. His style, if you haven't listened to Noah Kahan, is kind of like Hozier, is very folksy, singer-songwriter, and it's good music. I think he's a really talented songwriter. He's from a small town in Vermont, which I think is why I can identify with a lot of his lyrics, because I'm from a small town in Kentucky. Season of the Sticks was the name of his debut album, and yeah, when it's fall and winter in Kentucky, it does very much feel like a season of the Sticks. When the trees are bare and the mountains are brown, that's the way it feels. So that's kind of the vibe that album had. So I'm curious to see what the new album will sound like overall. I imagine it's still going to be very emotionally driven and more moody than poppy. I would liken him not in sound, but in theme to Lana Del Rey, in that his music is very moody. So I don't expect a upbeat pop album from Noah Kahan. If he does make that switch like Ed Sheeran kind of did, I would be surprised. I think he's going to stick closer to his folk roots. And but anyway, the song The Great Divide, I listened to it the other day. Let me tell you, I cried all day, off and on all day. It was a very reflective song for me, and it actually inspired me to write a short story that I'm not sure I want to share just yet. It feels very vulnerable, and I also have concerns about sharing that type of writing online because I don't want it to be scalped by an AI bot and used and plagiarized. So that's another topic for another time. But anyway, The Great Divide. If you are in the mood for a feelsy, folksy, emo-ish song that has a message of hope, I will say there is always a message of hope, but it's just so reflective that it can really bring up a lot of feelings of nostalgia and melancholy, I guess. But it's good music at the same time. I get a similar feeling when I listen to Jason Isbell, especially the song If We Were Vampires. That one, oh my gosh, I can't listen to that one. It makes me too sad. Anyway, let's pick it back up with some creative inspiration. I hope I didn't get you down too much with that. I have progressed to week 3 of The Artist's Way, and this chapter is about anger and using anger as a tool to propel yourself forward and channeling anger as energy to go towards the life that you dream of for yourself. And I have noticed that as I'm doing The Artist's Way, I've been doing the tasks, I've been doing my morning pages, I've been reading the chapters, and I have noticed that I have a lot more ideas coming to me, original ideas coming to my head, and creativity is flowing a little bit better. But let me tell you, something that surprised me is that some of this creativity is a little bit scary. So some of the themes and ideas that have been coming to my head are maybe reflecting some shadow traits and making me reflect on darker themes, and maybe I just need to get those out of the way. I like to think of my creative work as a way to share light and love and brightness and happiness, but creativity can also help you process some of the darker emotions and darker themes that you experience in your life as well. And I've noticed a lot of that coming up for me. So like I said, I wrote a short story and it feels too vulnerable to share right now. Maybe I'll share it anonymously somewhere, or maybe I'll share it on my blog at some point. But I think it's important that I acknowledge this and process it. I don't want to be like the broody, moody artist. That's not the kind of artist that I want to be, but I do think it's important that I acknowledge that side of myself as well so that I can be creatively whole, if you will. And one thing that the Artist's Mind recommends is staying open-minded. So your creative journey is going to look very unique. It's going to surprise you with a lot of twists and turns. And so I'm just staying open-minded to creativity as it comes up, you know, putting it on the page. That's what the morning pages are for. They're a safe space. And honestly, it's just about getting the reps in. So doing the writing, doing the tasks, and not judging yourself for it, I think is really important, especially in the early weeks of this course. And I've also been very mindful of what I am consuming. So the easiest example to share is my YouTube algorithm is changing. So instead of just being like funny videos or entertaining videos, music videos, things like that, it's more creative stuff and creative inspiration. Some of it's productivity and commentary about art and AI and the intersection of the two. And I came across a speech by Sanderson, who is the author of the Mistborn series, which is a fictional fantasy series. And I actually haven't read his books. I have one of his books on my to be read list, but I know that he is a very prolific writer and he's very well respected. And so I wanted to see what he had to say about AI in the creative space. And it's a really good speech. I think it's about 20 minutes long. It's TED Talk style, and I will share the link in the show notes so you can check it out for yourself. There are some really good insights into it, but there were a couple of quotes that just really stood out to me that I absolutely loved, and I had to write them down, and I'm going to share them with you. So the first one is, art is the means by which we become what we want to be. And the second one is, the process of creating art makes art out of you. And those two quotes kind of capture my feelings as well about art and why it's so important that we nurture human creativity and we give our support to human created content, because art is not about the output or the end result. It's about the process. Okay. So the journey before the destination. I know it's a cliche, but it's so true. I've seen it in myself, the process of creating this podcast. I feel like I've grown so much. I've learned so much. I've connected on a deeper level with people. I absolutely love it. And that's why art is so amazing. Okay. It's a reflection of society. It's a reflection of us. It's a means of connection, and it's a means of self-actualization. I didn't expect to get that philosophical with it, but it's so important. And I do feel very, very strongly about it. That's why I'm doing this podcast. That's why I want to encourage people to be creative and to pay the beginner's tax. Be really bad in the beginning. You will get to where you want to be. And Sanderson actually talks about that in the talk. He talks about his own journey as a writer, and he says that he believes his first book was really bad. It was a ripoff of other books he had written. But look at him now. He's this amazingly successful writer, and he encourages other people every day. And I can tell he really loves his craft, and he really is passionate about art and creativity and the human imagination. And so am I. I want to leave you with one final call to action for this season. And this is from chapter 3 of The Artist's Way. Take one small step in the direction of your dream and watch the door fly open. So that is my final call to action for you this season, is to take one small step in the direction of your dream and see what happens. Like I said a couple weeks ago, try it and see what happens. That is my wish for you, that you will find it within yourself to take that first step, whatever it may be, as small as it may be, and that you do it and that you don't judge yourself for it, and see what happens. Okay, just observe. Non-judgmental, radical non-judgment, like we talked about before. Thank you so, so much for going on this journey with me. I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break before I release season 2. This is going to be a period of rest and reflection and planning. I want season 2 to build on season 1 and be much better in terms of quality and content. And I just want you to get the most out of it. So I'm going to be doing a lot of planning. I'm going to do some creative restoration for myself as well, so that I can come back to it wholeheartedly with lots of energy and give you the best podcast possible. If you have filled out the listener survey, thank you so much. I'm going to be leaving that open for more feedback. So if you haven't filled it out, the link is in the show notes. Please take that. I really, really love getting your feedback and reading it. And I've gotten really good feedback so far. So thank you so much if you have filled it out. And if you haven't, please go do that. I'll be leaving it open indefinitely for now. So just send it in. I will definitely use it for planning season 2. And if you have any questions, you can find me on my website, angelazomaya.com. You can also find me on Instagram at AnnieZomaya. I would love to hear from you. Let me know what you enjoyed about this season the most. Let me know what questions you have for me. Let me know where you're at in your creative journey. I really want to know. Did you learn anything from this show? Did it help you in any way? I really want the podcast to be a means of connection and building a community. I don't want it to be one-way communication from me to you. I think community is more important than ever. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you soon.